So I went through the massive burden of watching all the Oscar-nominated films for Best Picture, and let me tell you, I have thoughts. A lot of thoughts. And I thought it would be a fun little experiment to rank them according to my personal taste. Not what critics think, not what the industry thinks, not even what the voters at the Academy Awards picked, though congrats to one battle after another for sweeping Best Picture and 6 Oscars total, just my honest reaction as someone who sat down and watched all of these movies back to back. Because the tricky thing with a year like this is that a lot of these movies are objectively good. Take F1 for example. You can nitpick it if you want, but at the end of the day, it's an incredibly well-made movie. It's slick, emotional, and wildly entertaining. But then you watch something like one battle after another, and suddenly the storytelling is operating on a completely different wavelength. The car scene in that movie in particular? Absolute wow. The kind of scene where you sit there afterward thinking, yeah, that's cinema. And now it's the official Best Picture winner. Paul Thomas Anderson took home Best Director too, and it feels earned. And then you have something like Train Dreams, where the visuals and cinematography are so stunning that half the time you forget you're even watching a narrative. You're just absorbing the atmosphere. So how do you even compare movies that are trying to do completely different things? Well, that's exactly what I'm about to attempt. And there's a decent chance I might offend a few people along the way. Because this is a stacked year. We've got legendary filmmakers returning, young stars chasing greatness, and some international surprises that honestly nobody saw coming. So definitely let me know your own rankings in the comments because I'm very curious where people land on these, especially now that the winners are out. Alright. Let's start with number 10. At number 10, I have Frankenstein. And look, putting this last almost feels wrong because Guillermo del Toro directing a Frankenstein movie should be a guaranteed masterpiece. The man is one of the most visually imaginative directors working today. And in many ways, it absolutely shows. This version isn't really interested in being a traditional horror story. Instead of a scary monster running around, the film leans heavily into the tragedy of the character. Jacob Elordi plays the creature with this heartbreaking innocence, like someone who genuinely doesn't understand why the world rejects him. Meanwhile, Oscar Isaac's Victor Frankenstein is basically the real monster here. He's a brilliant but deeply selfish surgeon obsessed with conquering death, and the movie constantly reminds you that ambition without humanity can become terrifying. From a craft perspective, it's honestly flawless. The production design, the makeup, the atmosphere, it's all incredible. But if I'm being honest, emotionally it just didn't hit me as hard as some of the movies higher on this list. It's thoughtful, it's beautiful, but the pacing sometimes keeps you at a distance. So yeah, an impressive film, just not one I connected with as strongly. At number 9 is Bugonia, which might be the weirdest movie in this entire lineup. And honestly, I kind of love that. Emma Stone once again proves she's one of the most fearless actors working today. She shaves her head and plays this pharmaceutical CEO who might, or might not, be the leader of an alien race secretly controlling humanity. Yes, that is the premise. And then you've got Jesse Plemons playing a conspiracy theorist who becomes convinced of this and kidnaps her to expose the truth. The movie constantly walks this tightrope where you're never fully sure what's real and what isn't. It's fascinating, bold, and sometimes genuinely hilarious. But at the same time, the film leans very heavily into this bleak, paranoid tone that left me feeling more intrigued than emotionally invested. So while I admire the ambition, it didn't quite land as a personal favorite. Number 8. Sinners. Now let's talk about Sinners. First of all, Michael B. Jordan playing twins? Yeah, that alone already had my attention. He plays Elijah and Elias, two brothers in the 1930s who return to their hometown only to find themselves facing something supernatural, a hive mind of vampires lurking beneath the surface of the community. It's stylish, intense, and incredibly entertaining. The action sequences are fantastic, the atmosphere is thick, and Jordan absolutely carries the film with two completely distinct performances. This movie has been a monster at the box office and critics have loved it too, and Jordan took home Best Actor, which is awesome to see. But for me personally, while it's undeniably cool, the storytelling didn't quite reach the same emotional depth as the films higher on this list. Still a great watch though. At number 7 is Sentimental Value. This is one of those quieter films that sneaks up on you. It's a Norwegian drama about a film director, played by the legendary Stellan Skarsgård, who tries to cast his own daughter in a movie about their family's painful past. And what I love about Skarsgård is that he brings this incredible gravity to every role. Even the smallest moments feel loaded with history and emotion. The film is basically a study of unresolved family trauma. It's about pride, regret, and the strange ways art tries to process pain. It's not flashy. It's not loud. But it's deeply human. Number 6 is the surprise contender, The Secret Agent from Brazil. This one really impressed me. Wagner Moura plays a professor in the 1970s who is trying to stay hidden during a military dictatorship while secretly searching for his missing son. And what makes the film interesting is how it blends genres. Part of it is a tense political thriller, but then it also weaves in this bizarre urban legend involving something called the hairy leg, which adds this surreal layer to the story. It's bold filmmaking, and the direction elevates it far beyond a standard spy movie. It topped a lot of critics' lists too, highest tomato meter among some rankings. Number 5. Train Dreams. Alright, now we're getting into the movies that really stuck with me. Train Dreams is simply beautiful. If this category were based purely on cinematography, this movie might be number 1. It follows a quiet laborer played by Joel Edgerton, and through his life the film essentially captures 80 years of American history unfolding around him. There's something almost meditative about it. It's slow, reflective, and incredibly poetic. The landscapes are breathtaking, and the film lets moments breathe in a way that modern movies rarely do. It's the kind of film that lingers in your mind long after it ends. Number 4. Now we have one battle after another. And yes, Leonardo DiCaprio is phenomenal here. He plays this washed-up revolutionary stoner who suddenly finds himself trying to protect his daughter from a corrupt military colonel played by Sean Penn. The movie balances chaos and character in a really interesting way. The storytelling is sharp, the action is intense, and there are several scenes, especially that car sequence, that are just unforgettable. It's a really strong film and an easy 8 out of 10 for me, and now it's the Best Picture winner. 6 Oscars total, including Best Director for PTA. Congrats to the team, it clearly connected big time. Number 3. Marty Supreme might be the most entertaining character study of the year. Timothée Chalamet plays Marty Mauser, this obsessive, narcissistic ping-pong prodigy in the 1950s who is absolutely determined to become famous. And Chalamet just completely commits to the madness of the character. Marty is sweaty, arrogant, relentless, and kind of ridiculous, but somehow you can't stop watching him. It's funny, energetic, and surprisingly insightful about the obsession behind greatness. And at number 2 is F1. And I know some people might roll their eyes and say this is the blockbuster choice. But I don't care. I loved this movie. Brad Pitt plays a veteran Formula One driver coming back for one final shot at glory, and the film absolutely nails that feeling of redemption and unfinished business. Pitt still has that old-school movie star energy where he can carry a film just by showing up. The racing sequences are incredible, the emotion lands, and by the end I was way more invested than I expected. A solid 9 out of 10. Number 1. Hamnet. This movie absolutely destroyed me. Paul Mescal plays William Shakespeare as a man quietly drowning in grief after the loss of his son. But the real powerhouse here is Jessie Buckley. Her performance is devastating, and she won Best Actress, which feels so right. The way she portrays a mother processing unimaginable loss feels painfully real, and the film never once resorts to melodrama. It just sits with the emotion and lets it unfold naturally. It's raw, intimate, and incredibly powerful. For me, this is the best film of the bunch, and I would genuinely be disappointed if it doesn't win more love in the years to come, even if one battle after another took the big prize.